Good evening and welcome to the August 13th, 2018 Valley View District Board meeting. Mr. Baduras, would you lead us in the pledge? Ms. Gilbo, would you please read the affirmation of the Board of Education mission statement?
I lost it. Our mission is to empower all learners to be college and career ready and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Thank you. Dr. Mitchum, the agenda, please.
Yes, President Pro Tem Sikora, I'd like to ask that the board approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor, say yea.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Is that the treasurer's report? Treasurer's report for July. Mr. Christofi?
I am having technical difficulties here, of which I apologize for. I cannot seem to get into board docs, and I do not have a backup. So I need the amount.
Okay, we're going to move on. So all the treasurer's reports will be gone back over later. Consent agenda items, Dr. Mitchum.
Yes. President Pro Tem Sikora, I'd like to ask that the board approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.3. 6.1 board meeting minutes for 7/16/18. 6.2 executive session meeting minutes for 7/16/18. And 6.3 gifts for Hermanson Elementary School approved as presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Abstain.
Member Perrell?
Yes.
Member Baduras?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora?
Yes. Okay, any board member liaison reports? From my left? From my right?
Gary's ready.
Gary, you ready? Okay, we're going to go back to our treasurer's report.
Joanne to the rescue. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Liz, for recognizing Miss Joanne. Lesson learned, we will have paper copies from now on.
Yeah.
Treasurer's Act Report 5.1 is the monthly report for the month of July. We've got our typical reports listed there, along with our interim obligation payments totaling $6,135,768, as well as our debt service payments totaling $2,903,787. Total interim obligation payments for the month of July, $9,039,555.96 for your approval.
Motion?
So moved.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Perrell?
Yes.
Member Baduras?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora?
Yes.
Treasurer's Act Report 5.2 is the schedule of bills for the month of August. We've got 6 funds listed there. Total bills payable for your consideration, $3,182,557.66.
So
Motion.
moved. Second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, hearing none. It's money, so we need to take a roll call.
Member Peril,
Yes.
Member Badouris,
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gilbo,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora.
Yes.
The five treasurer's information reports, the four treasurer's information reports include the summary of investments, the property taxes received, their state funding update, as well as the student account trust activity. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them at this time.
Any questions? Okay. We don't have to do it. Audience participation. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? If so, please state your name and remember that due to time restraints, we have 5 minutes. Don't see any. Seeing none, next on the agenda, action report, Dr. Mitchum.
No report.
Action report, Ms. Kinder.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Sikora. Tonight, I am seeking your approval to enter into a contractual agreement. This is actually renewal of a contract with the College Board, pending attorney review, to continue to provide an aligned system of assessments for students in grades 8 through 11 that corresponds with the state-mandated suite of assessments for high school students. So the Illinois State Board of Education requires that our students in 11th grade take a state assessment, that is the SAT, and the state will also be funding the spring administration for students in 9th grade for the PSAT 8-9, the PSAT 10 for 10th graders, and the SAT for our 11th graders. So in order to administer the full suite of assessments and give our students the full opportunities for their pathway to college, this includes access to free practice assessments, free practice that is aligned to exactly the plan that they need based on the skills that they are strong in, the skills where they need work. It also gives our students access to scholarship opportunities through the National Merit Scholarship program, and also additional scholarship opportunities in addition to that. It gives them access to fee waivers and access to additional online practice and planning tools. So the contract that we are presenting tonight would allow us to offer the full suite of assessments for our students and give them the full benefit of preparing on their pathway to their post-secondary success. This is a renewal from the contract that was approved in August 2017.
So moved.
Second.
I would like to add, subject to attorney review,
I did say that, but certainly I'll.
but I mean
back
in our motion.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Okay. Any discussion or questions?
I have a question. I have a little bit of a concern with the 8th graders because they'll be testing twice.
Right.
And I know that testing kind of gets in the way of a lot of learning when there's so much testing. And they'll be testing in the spring and the fall.
Right. I certainly agree with you that testing for the sake of testing could get in the way of learning, but using assessments to really target what our kids need and what support they need and what intervention, enrichment they need can also be very beneficial and make the path to learning even more efficient. So our students in 8th grade are required by the state to take the PARCC assessment. That's the assessment that the state requires for grades 3 through 8. Our students are also making a transition at that time and getting ready for high school. So to transition them to the high school suite of assessments, which is what we're looking at the contract this evening, we do administer the PSAT 8-9 in the fall of our 8th grade year. That not only assists us with placement in high school, but it creates that baseline data point for our students as they move into that SAT suite of assessments, which they're ultimately progressing through that suite to take the SAT their junior year. So it's beneficial for students and their families and teachers as well as administrators to know where our students stand and are coming in. And that does give us very valuable information and a very strong data point, in addition to our local assessments, to know exactly where they are on their path of college and career readiness. So it is a critical data point for us. I do understand that, assessment is a very time-consuming thing, but it's also very valuable in the sense that it can allow us to do our jobs better, and it allows families to truly know where their kids stand in terms of, being on that pathway for that post-secondary plan.
How long is the assessment for the 8th graders?
There's 2 sections that there's broken down just similar to the SAT, and I'm not sure if I can phone a friend, Mr. Kinder. How many minutes? Total? Okay. A total of the session is about 3.5 hours. That's broken into different sections.
And there's 2 of those 3.5-hour sessions?
That's specifically for the PSAT 8-9 that the students take in the fall. That is in total about 3.5 hours,
Okay.
including their breaks and such.
I don't remember what the dates allotted for that testing is. Would there be any way that maybe they could do it without being pulled out of regular classes? Is there a Saturday or anything like that maybe they could do so that they wouldn't be pulled?
Yeah, we do make the adjustment to the normal instructional day so that we can get that, so that we can have all students have that opportunity to take the assessment. If we consider doing it on a weekend or something of that nature, there would be the consideration of staffing it, paying for it, transporting students, and also student availability. And we may only get a portion of our students who would be able to come at that time. We do use that data point for high school placement. And like I said, it does give us that baseline. So to not have that for all of our students, or at least the vast majority, would not start us off on a good foot for the students' four-year high school career. So it is important, and we have adapted for it. We did this last year as well. And our teachers, they're very flexible in the sense that they make sure that everything else doesn't suffer as a consequence. They know that this is an important point for our 8th graders, and then they make the adjustments and make sure that everything else gets done. They absolutely figure out the way.
I definitely see value in it, but I just know that it disrupts quite a bit when there's testing so many times. Is there any way, so they're going to do that in the fall in the park in the spring. Is there any
Correct.
way that they could block it in to have it added onto the other testing days, make an additional day in the spring instead of doing it in the fall?
We run into several issues with timeline. So the park assessment window is set by the state. We have to administer park during that time frame. It's a demand. It's more efficient in terms of time-wise now because we are one-to-one, and so we're not waiting to share computers in the computer lab and such. So our middle schools have become, and our elementaries as well, have become very efficient in administering that exam, but it's a load on our students, and then so adding it onto that time would not be recommended. The other issue would be high school placement. So we begin that pretty much once we have that fall test done. We are placing our 8th graders for high school staffing by December. And so that wouldn't be timely enough for us to use that information if we administered in the spring. We wouldn't get that information back until a couple months later. So it wouldn't work for us to use as a valuable point for placement, and it wouldn't be very timely.
If I may add, the data that we collect from the suite allows us to identify the greatest area of need for our students. So although it does take away from some academic time, it allows us, rather than to deliver a canned curriculum based on an expectation, we're able to look at our kids individually and as groups, and be able to tailor the curriculum delivery to make sure that we meet those areas of need that have been identified on the test that would suggest they need supports. And that in it of itself, I believe, is worth the instructional time lost, because the flip side of that coin is we just deliver the curriculum without that information. We don't know where a student's greatest area of need is, and therefore we might not be able to target those students using data that we otherwise would have had to be able to target them.
Do we find that information from the park?
Well, there's information that we use in a complementary fashion, but there's also information that we gather from SAT that we don't gather from Park. We can make connections and correlations. But we use it at a school level and at a student level, but we also use it as a course level, and we use it to help adjust programming, help make curricular decisions, help us with our assessment design, because we know what our students will be faced with, not only on Park, but also on the SAT suite of assessments. So it's valuable information at many levels, but the information gathered for Park would not provide us with that baseline for the SAT suite. It would not. So it would put our students and many users of the data at a significant disadvantage compared to that from, in other districts where they do have that data point given. We have the benefit of being a unit district where we can have the administration done consistently across the district. Many other high school districts that have multiple middle schools or junior highs that feed into them do offer it on a Saturday, as you suggested, for example, and then the students have to come and take that, or they're administering it multiple times. So we do have that benefit of ensuring all of our kids start out on a level playing field, and we have that information, that baseline for all of our kids. So that is a benefit of being in a unit district.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
No.
Member Peril?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora?
Yes. Action report, Mr. Christofi, on tentative 2018-19 annual budget.
Just a brief overview on our tentative budget. Overall, $285,045,000, about $800,000 less than last year. Our operating budget is at $243.2 million, or about $2 million greater. From a dollars and cents perspective, it's a 2.56 increase over last year's actuals. On the revenue front, we've budgeted tax receipts to increase by 2.1%, which represents the CPI, our Consumer Price Index, 12-month trailing index as of December 2017. Corporate personal property replacement tax, budgeted for $612,000 less. Last year we took in $8.7 million, this year $8.1 million, and that's from the latest estimate from the Illinois Department of Revenue. Evidence-based funding, or tier funding, the state allocated $300 million of additional funding. That should generate $1.53 million of additional funding to Valley View. That's our share. We are right over the line, or considered Tier 2. We are at 66% of adequacy. 65% of adequacy is Tier 1. And so this is how the state determines how much spending you have or you put forth in terms of 100% being totally adequate. We're at 2/3 of that. And so, again, $1.5 million, we're chipping away at what they consider to be adequate funding. In terms of the other categoricals, there's no change in funding levels or amount, but we are still carrying a $2.5 million in unpaid categorical funding. That is built into to this year's budget. In terms of federal revenue, there's little to no change. Many of the grants have yet to be incorporated into our budget due to the funding and applications being released late. But the overall impact should be cost neutral. Revenues and expenses are typically equal. And so whatever dollars we drop into the budget between now and September, again, shouldn't really change our bottom line. Our budget will require the use of fund reserves to balance revenue and expenses. 3 of our 6 main operating funds are budgeted for a deficit, while 3 will have a surplus, leaving our year-end balance estimated to be at 102 days of reserve, which is above the 90-day benchmark, considered to be the minimum amount of reserves we would like to maintain. Funding is primarily local, no change there. $205 million, or 75%, will be generated with property taxes and user fees. The state will kick in $57.5 million, or 21%, and federal is $11 million, or 4% of our overall budget. And so at this time, I'm recommending that the 2018-19 tentative budget be put on display and made available for public inspection for at least 30 days, as required by school code. A public hearing on said budget will take place at the September 24th board meeting, after which final adoption will be recommended.
Motion and second.
So moved.
Are we looking for a vote, Mr. Christofi?
Yes, I need a vote to just
That's what
put
I
it on
thought,
display.
okay. We had a motion, we have a second? Second,
So moved.
and a second down here by JT.
And JT.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Peril?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora?
Yes. Mr. Gustafi, I also think you have the networking and infrastructure upgrade for utilizing the schools and libraries?
Correct. We brought an information report to the board at our July meeting. And at that time, we were suggesting that we'd be seeking approval from the board to continue the enhancement and upgrade of the network infrastructure by utilizing funding from Schools and Libraries Program, more commonly known as E-rate. The upgraded network will securely support the increased need for high-speed internet required for most district instructional and operational needs, plus the addition of outdoor wireless availability. This would allow us to meet the FCC goal of 1 megabyte per second of internet bandwidth per student, as well as allowing, again, that outdoor activity for curriculum delivery use, particularly in the areas of PE, athletics, and anything else. The timeline for this project would be to complete everything by June 30th, the deadline for the E-rate projects to be funded. Total cost for the proposed projects, $893,867, of which $669,000 would be covered by the discounts received from the USAC and the E-rate program. Our share would be 25%. It's 20% plus an additional 5% for things that are not covered under the program. District share, $223,905. And so at this time, we are recommending approval of the purchase of network upgrades totaling $893,867,000.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Member Peril?
Yes.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora?
Yes. Action report on human resources, Dr. Nash.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Sikora. Action Report 12.1 for this evening is the Consolidated Action Report for Certified and Classified Personnel. This evening, we are seeking your approval on 57 items for certified personnel, 69 separate items for classified personnel, 3 items for classified administrative personnel, and 3 items for certified administrative personnel.
Motion and second.
So moved.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
Member Peril?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora?
Yes. Okay, also Dr. Nash, classified job description.
Yes, ma'am. And in tonight's Consolidated Action Report, before I do that, you approved 2 administrative appointments that I would like to take the moment to introduce, if that is all right with you.
Fantastic.
First of all, Mrs. Nicole Coonahan, if she could just please stand. Nicole will be our Director of Math and Science for Pre-K 5. In addition to several years of elementary teaching experience, Nicole brings to us experiences both as an instructional coach and a building administrator, and we want to welcome her to the Valley View family. Welcome, Nicole. And then I would like to introduce Ms. Mary Worster and welcome her to the podium. Ms. Worster has been selected as the new Executive Director for Student Services. Mrs. Worster has been with VVSD since 2006 when she started as a school psychologist. In that role, she was a key player in leading teams to provide a wide range of supports for all students at her building. She has served in her most recent capacity as Director of Special Education since 2015. So congratulations to you, Ms. Worster.
I don't think Ms. Worcester's coming to the podium.
Okay.
But welcome to your new job and welcome to our district. Thank you.
All right, Action Report 12.2 is a revised job description for the Application Integration Specialist. This title description replaces Application Support User Interface Developer Programmer title, that's a long one, and description. The title and changes are due to phased out systems, some new required languages and skills that are no longer applicable to the previous description. So we are requesting this evening that the board waive first read and recommend their approval of the proposed job description.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussions? Okay, I had a question that I talked to Dr. Nash earlier today, and that was my concern about, again, having a first reading only, that we try not to do that if possible. Okay, I know this one is so that we can get someone in place for this position, okay? Any other questions? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Peril?
Yes.
Member Gilbo?
Yes.
Secretary Pro Tem Campbell?
Yes.
Member Badouris?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Sikora?
Yes. Superintendent's information report.
No report.
Legal services, any report?
No report.
AFT, any report? Valley View Council, any report? Valley View Office Personnel, any report? Okay, thank you. Please come to the podium.
Good evening, school board members, senior leadership. Our Valley View Office Council, Personnel Council, had elections in May, and I just wanted to come tonight to introduce our new executive board. I'm Alicia Edwards, the president, Natalie Harper, vice president, Jan Temple, treasurer, and Maria Reyes, secretary. And while I'm here, if you don't mind, I just want to give a shout out to all the secretaries for the back to school weeks of registering students. And actually, we're still registering students. Parents, if you can hear me, please register your children before Wednesday. But thank you to all the ladies that made it possible, setting up tables and gyms and wherever you had your back to school day. Thank you. It's a tremendous job. And again, I always say I don't know what we would do without those special volunteers and secretaries that get it done. Thank you.
Alicia, I have a question. I have a question. Are there any gentlemen secretaries? None? All right, just checking.
Not yet.
Thank you, ladies. Any old business from the board? Any new business from the board? Any questions from the public on any action that we have taken tonight? Any announcements from the board? I would like to welcome back all the teachers and all the staff and thank them. I know that they have been working all summer and then came in early to get the rooms ready, that the secretaries, we know if we couldn't do it without you, setting up for registration and getting ready. The maintenance department who gets our buildings ready all summer long. The school year couldn't be without them. The people at Central Administration who all summer long work while the rest of the ones get a short break, who have worked to get the school year ready. We truly thank you and welcome back, and we hope you have a great school year.
I'd like to make an announcement too. 1 year ago tomorrow, my brother passed away, so I just want to say love him. But just to show how God blesses you and all of us, on the 10th, I became a grandma for the first time. So the circle of life really happens. Grace Lee, my son Jeff, and Kelly had a little baby girl, Grace Lee, so I'm very happy about that. Up here I have a little gift that somebody brought me today, which was very special. It was my old art teacher from Ridgeview, which is now Irene King, came specially to this board meeting to bring me a gift for my baby. It was just really nice. I haven't seen him probably since I was in grade school, so that was really, really nice to see. So it just shows you that teachers and staff really care. There's no limit on time. Here I am, an old lady, grandma, and my art teacher from grade school comes to see how I'm doing and to say congratulations, and that he's proud that I'm on the school board too. So that was really nice to see. And then I also want to, Deb kind of stole my thunder, but I wanted to say thank you to all the staff and all the teachers and all of the workers in the district. We really do love you, and we really do appreciate all that you do for us.
Any announcements from administration? Or, I'm sorry, Diane, I missed.
That's okay, that's okay. I know Deb indicated she went through the list of teachers and secretaries and many people, but two departments that it was not intentional, but did not mention transportation or print shop. And those, if any of you have seen transportation buses coming through your neighborhood the last couple weeks, practicing their schedules and making sure that our kids are going to get to and from school safely, and print shop, they are remarkable. Those people work tirelessly for everyone in the district. So thank you to them as well.
Thank you, Diane. Sorry, I missed those two. Any announcements from administration?
Yes, I could not speak more eloquently than the board members did concerning back to school, so I echo your sentiment and want to thank the commitment by everyone in the district and hope everyone has a great school year. Thank you.
And we'll see you kids on Wednesday.
Any announcements from the public? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you for attending tonight. I have to vote on what? I have to vote on the motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye.